races, to be honest. Lamprey in the Giro lost 59 seconds to Orica Greenedge over just 17.6 kilometres. That sort of deficit is frankly unacceptable. And Team Cannondale Giant as well also lost 53 seconds in that time trial around San Remo at the top of the Giro d'Italia. I wondered whether, because it came right at the beginning, teams just weren't alive or awake to the damage that could be done. And to be honest, that kind of deficit carried deep into a race, like for instance Ryder Ejedal never really was able to make up that ground that was lost, and unfortunately for him it was a bit of brain fade earlier on. So team time trial can be absolutely vital, not really to disrespect yesterday or indeed today's efforts. It's going to be about the sprinters, but tomorrow, time lost there, it's kind of unnecessary, isn't it?
Yeah, normally in the Critérium du Dauphiné it's a good preparation race for the Tour de France, because you get into the kind of French way. I know that many of the teams look at the Dauphiné or the Tour de Suisse as their preparation. As we look at the riders that are here, very few sprinters. Okay, we've got Modelo and maybe some other Bohani, some other riders, but many of the riders, the sprinters, looking at Dauphiné is too difficult, and possibly looking at Swiss, possibly looking at I know that Andy Greiper rode the Tour of Luxembourg, and then you've got the ZLM Tour, which Kittel is riding as his kind of final preparation, if in fact he does go to the Tour de France, which I hope he does. So everybody looking at a different preparation, but traditionally it's Dauphiné, Tour de Suisse. The difference between the Dauphiné gives you a little bit more time to recover, and you look at the back end of this race where you've got some big mountains and obviously the time trial. So the time trial and the couple of stages in the mountains normally decide who wins the overall, and it gives us a good indication of who's on form for the Tour de France. Yeah,
not only individually, but of course which teams are bidding for it as well. Chris Froome is here with what very much looks like the basis of the A team, essentially, for the Tour de France. Ian Boswell, the American, is in here. Philip Dagnan as well. We have Peter Kenyik, the British champion, who is wearing the yellow jersey. There he is. Fantastic performance by him. He kind of mugged the field yesterday, was lively about it. I think you never underestimate a man who wears some national stripes, and to be honest, yesterday I don't think it was disrespect. I think he genuinely attacked at precisely the right moment and made it stick.
It was a perfect move in my book. They looked as if they were about to be caught. There was a slight lull in the action, and he took advantage of it just when they only had about 10 seconds. And I think everybody thought it was a bit kind of disarray. Nobody took control of the peloton. Cofidis were there, they came up late, but you have to be in it to win it, and he put himself in the right place by going on the attack in the final climb. He was with 5 riders, caught Bjorn Taurer, and decided to give it a go. And to win with any national champs jersey on is fantastic, because when you have a national champs jersey on, it's like a Belisha beacon sometimes, and whenever you attack, people go on to you and they don't maybe chase others. So good luck to Peter Kenyuk for taking that opportunity and puts him in the yellow jersey in this race today.
Just looking at Chris Froome, he's actually looking really strong at the moment. I always, when I look at Chris, I always worry sometimes when he sheds too much weight that he looks a bit fragile, but he actually looks very, very solid this year.
Yeah, as I said, over the last maybe 3 years, he's looked pretty solid. He's just been unfortunate last year in this race by crashing. Then he went to the Tour de France. Everybody knows what's happened there. He crashed out. He didn't crash out in the cobbles. It was before he got to the cobbles. So, the first crash he got actually wasn't his fault. So let's hope that he has better luck.
Yeah, better luck, and hope he goes well here. We'll take a break.
Le Mans. For man and machine, it's the ultimate endurance trial, and one of the most open for years. 3 mighty manufacturers, none of them satisfied with second place. All of them determined to end the long domination of the 4 rings.
serious contenders rate the Dauphiné. A great race in its own right, the 8 days in and around and over the Alps is also a favourite launch pad for those looking to rocket to Grand Tour glory. And with the Tour de France just over the horizon, who's going to make a massive mission statement? Every day at 13:30, the Critérium du Dauphiné, live on Eurosport.
Welcome back. Look at the helicopter. No, look at the riders. The helicopter's looking at the riders. You should be too. We have 48.4 kilometres to go. This is going to spin out rather quickly. Minute and 48 is our breakaway at the moment. And as you can see, the yellow jersey on the back of Peter Koenig. This guy doing a good job of just pacing things in. Nice to see Chris Froome as well. We've been dwelling on him during the break, actually, as we've been just watching the live feed pictures out there. Everyone looks nice and relaxed. I think this is well within control. It's a stress-free day, you might say, but that's about to change as we approach our destination today, the Parc des Oiseaux, the bird park. I presume well, maybe they don't net them, I'm not sure, but anyway, we'll find out when they get there. I think generally it's swans and lakes and stuff like that. Kemeneur, Courteuil and Tekla Hammer are our men in the break. Very Kemeneur, Tour de Yorkshire, he got himself in the top 25 just, but was fourth in the King of the Mountains competition, so he likes a bit of rolling terrain, and good to see Europe Car here. It's sad that it's coming to an end, Europe Car, but yes, we shall see who picks them up. It's a constant problem, of course, for teams when, of course, a major sponsor decides to step off and just take a back seat, having done the job. And I think Europe Car have really been fabulous, frankly, for the peloton. They often get elevated, perhaps higher than some might have thought, and it looks like Venotti's actually got bid down as well. I wonder if he was involved in the same crash as earlier on that we were mentioning Stannard was involved in.
No, that was the same crash. You just see Steve Cummings come by. That was the same crash that Steve Cummings, Vanotti was one of them, and also Laurent Pichon of Français de Dieu, who has had to abandon.
Ouch. Well, there you go. It can happen at any time, especially when you're all bunched together. We said it was a stress-free day, but honestly, stress-free days can be a bit of a challenge. Yeah, exactly. A bit of brain fade, wheels touch, and down you go. It's a danger.
It's just when you're in the peloton, you're chatting away, the race is not really on, because normally when the pros start racing, it's total focus, and in this part of the stage, well in control, as you said, Carlton, under 2 minutes. 46.8 kilometres to go to the finishing line. It's pretty much like this all the way in. No mountains, no nothing, flat roads, and the guys in the breakaway, Kemeneur, Courteuil and Tekla Hammer have done their job, especially Tekla Hammer in the polka dot jersey. He's taken maximum points that were on offer for that competition, so he's happy. The two French teams, it's a French race, they want to get some publicity. Europe Car, Français de Dieu, that's why they're in the breakaway. So the other thing about this breakaway is the fact that Tekla Hammer is here for the second day in a row, which means that MTN and Quebec don't have to get involved with the chase. The three teams we have in the chase are Cofidis, thinking of Bahani, Lampre for Modelo, and Giant Alpecin for Miskits. So we are going to see the first bunch sprint of the Dauphiné, which was foiled yesterday by the British champion Koenig.
It was. This is a freebie, by the way. Once you have yourself an injury, no surprise to see that you are allowed to hold on to the medical car. I have actually seen riders complain of stings.
He was in the police?
You can. Some great music. But yeah, you can actually nip yourself, and then this is a top secret, by the way. You can nip yourself and then head back to the car to basically hold on to the medical car for a little while the magic spray comes out.
You know more than me.
Don't tell anybody, especially like Sir Brian, who, to be honest, these days is nipping himself all the time. Doc, I need a plaster.
I've got one arm longer than the other.
So yeah, you can hold on to a medical car as long as you need medical assistance, but he's clearly needing a bit of embrocation spray here. That's to just warm the muscle, because he's gone down hard and got himself one of those jarring sprains, and they can be nasty. They stiffen up overnight, those things.
Yeah, especially in the base of the back. It's obviously come down. Maybe not a high-speed crash, not a lot of damage to jersey and shorts, but slow motion crashes when you come down. It's you come down and use your whole body weight, and just touching on the doctor's car behind, all doctor's car are cabriolets, so they can get the roof down, so they can get plenty of access to the riders if they need it.
Buy them in cycling, as written in on Twitter. Says, nice to have you back. Nice to be back. He said, looking forward to random stories as usual.
What are they trying to say?
Well, they told you. Yeah, nip yourself, say it's a bee sting, and go and hold on to the medical car if you're feeling a bit tuckered out. Actually, don't do that because it's very naughty, and if everyone starts doing it, it's going to be a lot of bees. Kevin Urquhart and Tekla Hammerlot. There are ways and means, but yeah, we want to keep it honest. So they plied their trade. We have 41.1 kilometres to go. Brian, this is going to spin out quicker than perhaps we might have thought. Some teams are going to start injecting a little bit of pace. Here's Guerrero. I don't really think it's going to be Guerrero's day today, but he'll go and surprise us now and win the day. Have you a choice? I know it's a long way out, but have you a choice? Do you think Bouhanni is so teed up and frankly just ticked off that he wants to get the win today? We know that's the case, but will he?
Oh, I think the big pressure is on Bouhanni today. He never had the help in the end. Yesterday came up very late in the sprints. Very good lead out from Reinhard Janse van Rensburg for MTN for Bosenhagen, but off the wheel of Bosenhagen came Modulo. I still think Modulo coming after the Giro d'Italia, and he showed it yesterday. I think he's the fastest man we've got in the peloton.
Ain, we just passed by a few moments ago. I remember it actually from it was part of a stage on the VTT Tour de France. That was a fantastic event that sadly is no longer with us. It was the mountain bike tour that took place after the tour itself. They kind of kept the helicopters from the Mont Blanc helicopters and all the West Camps and everything together. And off we went into the mountains on what was a shorter event. I think it actually bridged a sort of an Olympic fortnight, essentially, so 3 weekends. But it was just, 3 weekends, 2 weeks, and 2 days. It was fantastic, and it's where I first bumped into Cadel Evans all those years ago. He really did have some fun up in the mountains, and I know we're on the flatland sections here, but they used to run into them sometimes off the climbs just to allow them to shake something back into their legs. A great event that's sadly no longer there, Brian.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised if they've played with the mountain bike side. Even the women's Tour Feminine is kind of disappeared. So, sad to say. I don't know what it comes down to, whether it's just finance. I don't know, because the ASO are a massive company. So it's disappointing on obviously in the women's side and mountain biking side. We don't see that.
A lot of you asking on Twitter what the little devices are underneath the saddles. It's a GPS device that's being tested out here. I'm not quite sure to what aim.
Well, it's the same. A lot of pressure from the broadcasters and maybe some of the teams to go along the technology that we've got in other sports, namely Formula One. And what ASO are trying to do, they're trying to get involved more with the on-bike cameras, the GPS. Every rider's got transponders on their bikes, which starts when they cross the line and ends when they finish the line, so they get the time and everybody knows who's come in certain bunches. Okay, some crashes, people swap bikes, which we had in the Giro d'Italia, but this is a new GPS system, a lot more accurate than maybe ones in the past, and they're testing out new technology so that maybe we come to the Tour de France and they'll be able to give GPS information of where certain riders are. So they're testing it out. They're trying to look at and encourage the fans sitting at home and giving them some more information. I think there's a lot of pressure in that area to deliver these type of things.
Well, if they do seat it there, it is going to have an impact on onboard cameras as well, which do you know what? It's lovely to see onboard camera work now and again, but all the time, frankly, you just start to feel a bit seasick. It doesn't matter how much stability they build into it, it does get a bit rock and roll out there. I think it's useful as part of a highlights, or indeed just a drop-in maybe, but you wouldn't want to see that every day as part of a sprint finish, which we're going to have today, because it's just too rough.
I believe there are some out there that are fantastic. One was when it first came out, the Shimano one that they used last year in the Tour of California between Degenkolb and Cavendish. That was good, really good footage, and you could hear them pushing and shoving. But rights they have to pick out, and they have to limit the amount of cameras, because then someone has to troll through what the best bits. And it's nice to see the lead outs. It's nice to see different angles in the peloton, how closely knitted they are, and obviously some people with the cameras on are right behind certain crashes, so you get information because the TV cameras are sitting in front of the peloton and behind the peloton, so it's too dangerous to sit a camera bike in the peloton, and it's against the UCI rules. So to have the bikes on the cameras, you see certain things or see how crashes happened within the peloton.
We just caught up there with Andrew Talansky, and then Dan Martin rode into shot. He's wearing number 6, the Irishman. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how Dan Martin goes here, not least because he started off with the bookmakers at 150 to 1 for this event, and his odds have shortened dramatically, and I'm not surprised. He's still only 12 seconds down, so he didn't get caught behind the split yesterday, and that's a danger. So you're going to see a lot of GC teams here riding on amongst the sprinters because everyone has an interest in not getting caught out. Yesterday, as Kenny proved, you can push on a pace and then panic ensues, and then suddenly you get a split as everyone rolls across that juncture. Don't forget the clock rolls until a gap is spotted. It doesn't have to be a yawning chasm, to be honest, just a couple of bike lengths, and then the commissaires declare that as a resetting of the clock, and all of a sudden you have shipped a whole load of time. It's a danger, particularly on a sprint stage, so the GC men don't want to throw anything away just in case it does get strung out. So expect this to be pretty busy towards the end, with all the teams keeping the GC contenders up towards the front and the sprint trains trying to formulate themselves into a fighting force. It's going to be good. Back in a moment.
The European Games, Baku 2015, rise to the occasion.
Since 2005, the Formula Renault 3.5 Series, flagship of the World Series by Renault, prepares the brightest talents for life at the pinnacle of motorsport. Formula One teams' development programs consider the series as a benchmark. In 2015, drivers dreamed to come after Carlos Sainz as the new #1. Follow all seasons live on Eurosport platform.
Women with the world at their feet. 24 nations are aiming for football's biggest prize. Plenty are in with a shot, especially the favourites, 2-time winners, Germany. But it's worth remembering that the last edition saw Japan shock the lot to take the title. So, is the form book in for another kicking in Canada? Tonight at 21:30, the Women's World Cup with Sweden against Nigeria, live on Eurosport.
Long sinuous line as we come through these little villages that dot the lowlands here, giving itself away to these agricultural areas, as you can see. So a rich and verdant part where the alpine spill creates a bit of lush soil, and indeed as a result you get your wheat all year. 3 crops sometimes on a long summer. Kevin Courtois and Tekla Hamanot are the men in the break. In a few moments we'll be joined by our friends on British Eurosport, so we'll just do us the honour of letting us all come together in a few moments' time. 3 riders up the road. You've been quite lively on Twitter. Bridie Jenner says it's 3 kilometres, the shortest distance completed by a rider in a stage race before abandoning. Here at Docks, of course, not his fault. Got himself into a bit of a bump. We were just considering Bridie's question, and do you remember was it 2013 Tour de France, Chris Froome actually crashed in the neutralised section at the top of the first stage. Could have been all over before it started. Went on to win, of course.
He certainly did, and even from my memory, Matt White crashed. He was part of the Tour de France team. I forget what team he was riding for that time, but he crashed in I think it was a day before on some television cables as they were looking at the stage. Crashed out, broke his collarbone, and never even took the start line.
There we are. So yes, it's you're in the lap of the gods occasionally. Nice gaff, Brian. Have you put a deposit down yet? I know you're looking at it.
I'm trying to downsize, actually.
All right, well, you've chosen the wrong building for that, clearly. 38 kilometres to go. And a bit of a knockback, as you can see. Danger of catching the breakaway. They don't want to get there too quickly, quite frankly. Into some of lush greenery, as you can see. No rain yet, but it is coming. And so I guess they've got to enjoy the days without the rain capes. Helps us as well. But frankly, it's going to get a bit grisly out there. There's Dan Martin again, just chugging away. When are they going to start stretching their legs, Brian? Rain being a factor, I think it might well hamper some, but some function very well when the clouds do burst. And Dan Martin's one of those who's not averse to kicking it in the rain.
There's a lot of people don't mind the rain. I think there's some pictures been tweeted by some of the riders last night in the dark clouds that they were coming in, but
it's a formation team just been lined up. That's rather well planned. I don't know whether the equines themselves had actually decided to do that almost as a display, but nice to see.
Well, don't talk too long about them, you might get a bit hoarse. But
I am a bit, to be honest. I was screaming my head off last night.
So, 3 riders still in the breakaway. I'm not too sure we'll get any rain towards the end of this stage, but definitely, thunderstorms threatening last night and possibly after the stage today. Looking at this stage 123 with just another 37 kilometres to go. I don't think they'll start whipping up the pace until they start to see the boards towards the end, about 25 kilometres to go. Let's
talk about the run for home then. It's a pretty flat stage today. You might say uninteresting. It's certainly not going to be that. Some of these, by the way, are wild horses. Livid with the helicopter. Who's now decided to go herding them. Do you know what? I do worry about the eye in the sky sometimes. It does sort of trouble the wildlife. But there you go. There are still wild horses in certain parts of France. They look like they've been corralled, so I presume they actually belonged to somebody. Wild horses in Britain, of course, as well, down in Dartmoor, isn't it? There you are. And in other parts, including Spain, you occasionally come across them. If you ever enter a field with a wild horse, and it happens to be a stallion, and it's that time of year where he's busy rounding up the mares, don't go and take a comfort break in any kind of woods that is anywhere near the horses, frankly, because they get pretty nasty. And I was bitten by a stallion on my back, and the bruise, honestly, it was one of the worst things I've ever had, just on the shoulder blade. It was as big as a dinner plate by the time the full blueness of it revealed itself.
I tell you what, there's nothing more scary than a horse in the peloton running in the middle of the peloton, and it's happened in various races. I know that I've been part of the peloton with a horse. It's a scary thing because you never know what way it's going to turn, and they're pretty solid. You don't really want to mess with a horse.
Nope, absolutely not. I don't think it was the Dauphiné, or maybe it was, where it actually vaulted and jumped the fence and then just gambled along with the pack. It looked fantastic, and it often gets shown. Of course, if you go on YouTube, you'll find it. Just look at the speeds. We're nudging 20 kilometres an hour at the back here. I think this is an opportune time for everyone to take a comfort break. Now they're clear of the horses, the equine threat. 36 kilometres to go, and I think everyone's just taking the opportunity at the moment just to sort of regather themselves ahead of our finale. We were going to talk about it. There's a big turn, sort of a gentle two-phase 90-degree right-hander just before the 3 kilometres to go marker, and then it's moderately straight throughout. There's a couple of kinks in the road, but nothing serious. You can, if you are strung out, take it almost straight. You can kind of cut those curves, if you see what I mean, on the approach. There is a gentle right towards the end, but nonetheless it's busy, that's for sure, and I suspect it may well be a pure sprinters day, even with options for the likes of Edvald Bosenhagen. Tyler Farrar's going to get the nod for MT and Quebecer surely today, so wait to see his ginger beard coming towards the front. Bradley Wiggins shaved his beard off last night for the sake of aero, purity, in his bid, of course, his successful bid to set a new benchmark for the world hour record. I think we're allowed, even though we're on a road race here, to nod towards Bradley, who's done well in this race, of course, in the past. Twice a winner in 2011 and 2012. And it badged him up in 11 as favourite for the Tour de France. And, of course, he went on to deliver it after his second win here. Beat Cadel Evans, Vinokurov first time by, and then Mick Rogers and Cadel Evans, the great Cadel, in 2012. It is a great tee-up, is it not? But let's just dwell very briefly on Bradley. What a fantastic performance in the Velodrome last night.
Yeah, it was. It was an evening of history, because not many riders have won the Tour de France and obviously taken the world hour record, so it was a tremendous atmosphere, and it was a good night out by many, and everybody was coming away with some great stories.
Yes, indeed. It was a delight to actually be in attendance. It was a phenomenal performance, and of course the Velodrome with 5,500 people in full bellow. He chose the music track, a series of important to him pieces of music to help him be motivated. He couldn't hear a thing, courtesy of the bellowing crowd, which I'm sure helped him set that fantastic new benchmark.
From the shores of the Caspian Sea, in the ancient land of Azerbaijan, rises the first European Games. Be part of sporting history in Baku this June. The European Games, Baku 2015, rise to the occasion.
I wanna see the rainbow, something beautiful. If only for a while, I wanna see you smile. Shine on, like the sun in the desert. Shine on, like the sun in the desert.
With the Eurosport app, get live coverage of all your favourite sports. Check on the fortunes of your favourite teams and players. Follow the matches and events live. Download now. Eurosport, the benchmark in sports apps.
We are all different, and our differences can build barriers between us. At FIFA, we believe passionately that barriers have no place in football. But when we kick a ball, we're all just players, no matter who we are.
I am a footballer.
Eurosport Live Score is available on the iPhone and iPad for free. Every competition, every result, live comments. Eurosport Live Score, available on the App Store.
Well, the helicopters now decided to trouble the cygnets, as you can see. 2 broods, maybe a shared brood, maybe they're both mum. There we are. Cygnets are white only after they reach, I think it's about 4 weeks. Before that they have a little bit of fuzz, bless them. So 2 broods there, one a little bit older than the other, just in case you were wondering. I know Brian he worries about these things. 33 kilometres to go, minute and 27. Once again, we'll be welcoming back our entire Eurosport family in just a short while. Good to see Chris Froome shooting the breeze, but looks like he's quieted down just a little bit. His teammates are quite animated around him. He generally tends to be a sort of a lightning rod for all things stressful, and just sort of stays, I guess, cool as a cucumber, which he looks at the moment. Some might call it focus. Let's do that. Well, you don't have to look far to see a man looking down at his stem, and it's Chris Froome. There is actually a periscope device that you can buy to stick on your handlebars to allow you to rest your neck. And I just wonder whether Chris Froome could do with that on occasion. He's probably got an aero deficit as well, which doesn't quite fit. But yeah, I'll see if I can find it, to be honest. There's our leader, though, Peter Koenig. Fantastic performance by him yesterday, and here is that look. It's a very downward look. It can be dangerous. And I wonder how many of the tumbles that Chris Froome has taken within his career have been due to a lack of vision.
I wouldn't care to imagine, but when you ride with the group, that's why they're surrounding him. When you ride with the group in training and racing, you gain confidence in the group around you. So, you know, he's been involved with some crashes in the past, especially at Tour de France, especially last year, and obviously he crashed in last year's Dauphiné, which did affect him, but let's hope he has better luck.
Yes, indeed. Chris Williams took a tumble as part of a North Wales road race yesterday, and guess why? Horse got involved. There we are. We're talking about the equine threat to cyclists. Yeah, it's not just metal machines, it seems. Not suggesting horses are machines, but you see what I mean. There are threats on the road, not just cars and wayward drivers. This is an extremely well-marshalled race, incidentally. The Tour de France, it's kind of practice for it, the Dauphiné. Looking at Smukulis, just stretching out his hams. Clearly, Katusha have got ideas today. Satovic and Vicioso are their chosen ones. I think Alexei Chatovic is probably a good call for today. Katusha don't take sprinting opportunities by halves. They've got Joaquim Rodriguez and Gianpaolo Caruso. They'll be wanting to look after them. So I think en masse they could be up towards the 4. Tiago Machado as well, the Portuguese, is no slouch in a situation to help those boys get to the 4. May not immediately spring to mind, and I suggest it could be a day, if there's a lot up for grabs, if it gets rough out there, you're going to have an opportunity to go for it.
The thing is, the peloton is the speed of the peloton has been led by the 3 riders in front. Tekla Hamanot has done his job. He's taken maximum points in 2 of the King of the Mountains that were on offer today. Corte and Kimener, 2 riders, French race, getting plenty of advertising for their sponsors. They haven't got great form. Both of them, not a win between them. Kimener, 8 years as a pro, and you mentioned Yorkshire. He finished 25th, 4th in the King of the Mountains, and Corteo just probably fresh after finishing 124th in the Giro d'Italia. So not great form, and that's why they're not. They know they're going to be caught. They know there's going to be a bunch finished today. They're just going through the motions. They're not really driving the pace at the front, so that's why the peloton have kind of slowed down ever so slightly. They don't want to catch them beforehand, and it's left to Cofidis at the front with Luis Mate. Lampre have got Nelson Oliveira, the Portuguese champion, and Giant Alpecin have got Callum Fairley.
So they're buying the right to fight a little bit later on. A little bit of whip hand work here as we just sail by our men in the breakaway. Tekla Hamanot, of course, wearing the polka dot jersey of the King of the Mountains. There is the green jersey of Europcar, which tells you it's Peric Kemener. And of course, Francis de Jure here as well. Francis de Jure disappointing in the Giro d'Italia. Not really a race for French teams, obviously. I think it was almost a how can I put this politely? Second string team, let's put it that way. But Kevin Retzer was there, and he's got an option today. But I just wonder how much fatigue he's carrying from the Giro, having at least tried on a number of occasions, and on occasion got the better of Mezgec, but frankly he was malfunctioning out there, and I don't know how much he brings here. There is Joaquim Rodriguez, Perito as he is known, and indeed, as you can see, just shooting the breeze as well, and you can see just how much movement there is, even when it's quite a benign and relaxed pace, let's put it that way. Movistar, of course, will be working, as Castroviejo is shooting the breeze with, by the way, for Alejandro Valverde. And in fact, it is the GC teams that are controlling the pace. If you look down there, you'll see Sky locked together in a block looking after Chris Froome. We've got Movistar looking after Valverde. Katusha are just attending to Joaquim Rodriguez. Romain Bardet and AG2 Le Mondial, they seem to be a bit more fractured. They go a bit more freestyle. Bardet isn't a man who likes to be overly protected. Often rides alone, bizarrely, within a bunch like this. But Samuel Dumoulin, the pocket rocket, is up towards the front as well, sort of sharing duties, I think. I just wanted to make sure that they don't get another Kennick happening. When Peter Kennick yesterday went off the front, some people saying, why did you call him Kenyick when his name is spelt Kenner, K-E-N-N-A-U-G-H? It's the Manx phrasing, and actually his dad got in touch and said, oi, it's Kenyick, not Kenner. So that was a long time ago. It's been Kenyick ever since, and he is the British champion, although you can't see the stripes today because he's wearing the leader's yellow jersey. 1 minute and 14, 28.8 kilometres to go. I suggest the pace and the catch will be made in about 8 Ks. They've been going as slow as 20 kilometres an hour. I think teams they're quite welcome at a stage like this as a rolling introduction. They had a bit of climbing today, the first category 1 of, indeed, this Dauphiné. Tomorrow's the team time trial, though, and everybody wants to get home. You don't want to lose any personnel today for something silly. And so it's sort of a ride-in, really. Probably the last calm day. Of course, we're going to have fireworks in quite a short while now. But a calm day largely ahead of the team time trial tomorrow. And they need to keep something on board, Brian, when we get to the mountains.
They certainly will. This is a very tough Dauphiné. That's why we've seen so little of the sprinters coming to the Dauphiné, the team time trial tomorrow. That's why we never saw many of the teams riding too hard towards the front. The team time trial tomorrow, 24.5 kilometres in length, and just looking at the parcours of that, it's just undulating every so often. But that's why the teams are not really coming to the front riding hard, because they know how hard a time trial is tomorrow. They don't want to lose any time, and that's why we see a lot of the GC contenders teams not really pushing it. They'll hide in the peloton. Like yesterday we mentioned that Tony Martin, very good at team time trial. He'll wait for that time trial. He doesn't want to expend too much energy because they want to try and go out there and win that stage. To win a team time trial, everybody wants to do it in a stage race, because it means that there's very few times there is an opportunity to go onto the podium with your complete team at the end of a day's racing, and tomorrow's one of those days. And a lot of the World Tour teams, the current world champions, are BMC, so it's the bragging rights. They want to win tomorrow's stage and go on that podium as a team.
Lotto Soudal, you saw them a few moments ago in their traditional red. You kind of feel sorry for them, really, that Andre Greipel is almost as a constant the German champion, it seems. But Tony Galopin and Chris Boekemans and Tosh van der Sande are their options today. They are a quick team, so don't be surprised if the men in red come up to the fore.
A revolution in the kitchen. Bora. The end of conventional cooker hoods. Effective and silent. Quality made in Germany. Bora.
The European Games. Baku 2015. Rise to the occasion.
A place in Europe where summers are hot and exciting and winters magically white. A place with breathtaking nature where history is all around you. A land of riches and plenty. Bulgaria, a discovery to share.
university sport is booming. Around the globe, it's become a central part of campus life, producing world-class athletes. And this is the series that tells their story. Wednesday at 18:45, Campus Sport on Eurosport.
Welcome back. 25.7 kilometres to go. Debbie Hill says, love your compassion for the poor terrified animals. Just distressing to see them so stressed by the choppers. I think she means helicopters as opposed to riders taking comfort breaks. But they do get fair warning, frankly, the farmers, that the race is coming through.
Yeah, they all do. These roads are closed. Maybe not like the Tour de France, but ASO provides some road closures, and everybody along the route will be given plenty of advance warning. And if they want to move their animals, they can, but obviously most of them think that it's safe enough to keep them.
Tekla Hamanot, that suits him, that jersey. And as Brian said, it's the first time that a World Tour jersey has graced the back of an MTM Quebecer rider. Couldn't be on a better back. Breakaway have refound its life. They've kicked on just a little bit. Minute and 43, it was in danger of hitting the minute mark, and everyone sat up. Pace went down to about 20 kilometres an hour. Didn't suit everybody. In fact, some riders were cramping up. There is a pace at which they're used to riding at, Brian. If it knocks back too much, you can get yourself into bother.
Yeah, you can. Mati at the front for Cofidis, Calafele second place for Giant Alpecin, and then the white jersey of the Portuguese champion Nelson Oliveira. It's 3 against 3 in the breakaway, 3 at the front of the peloton, and then on the left hand side you see the team of Bora. On the right hand side you've got the team of Sky with the yellow jersey of Peter Kenyuk. Just in the middle you can see Alex Dowsett, and last night he lost that world hour record to the other Englishman, Bradley Wiggins, so he's looking after the Movistar riders in the centre of the peloton. But the teams don't really want to put a lot of hard work in towards this stage, because the team time trial tomorrow. Everybody wants bragging rights. It's great to win a team time trial, so everybody thinking of that. Now we start to see 25 kilometres to go board. They'll start to think of the finish. They'll start to come to the front in some numbers, especially the likes of Lamprey and Cofidis, and start to think of the sprint now.
I don't think it's Simon Gerrans' day for Orica Green Edge, but they've got other options. Jens Kerkelaer is one, but Magnus Cort Nielsen as well, the Dane. He's been outstanding, hasn't he?
He has. He's an exceptional talent. I'm not too sure this type of finish will suit him. When you mention Kerkelaer and Gerrans and Magnus Cort Nielsen, they're the sort of riders that like it difficult, a hard, kind of a little bit tougher sprint. And I still think that Gero would be their man for today, looking on yesterday, because he sprinted well yesterday. He finished 5th in the stage, so he's up there with most of the other sprinters.
23.2 kilometres, a minute and 55 now. Do you think Tony Martin might have a tilt at the hour record? It says Nugget 48. And could he break it? Well, I imagine that Tony Martin's going to give it a good shot, but he's not a trackie, so it may well be that the pure, focused nature of it, tracing that black line, doesn't suit him. We'll see. He's certainly got the power, but has he got the means to deliver it in a velodrome situation?
Oh, that's the big question, isn't it? He's a very good time trialist, and you're right to say it. He pushes a big gear. I'm not too sure what the gearing was that Bradley used last night, 58-14 or something like 13. But it was a... Tony Martin does like a 58 ring, even riding a time trial. So, we'll just have to wait and see what Tony Martin decides to do. And you've got Cancellara. I think they'll be looking intently on what Bradley Wiggins did. But we'll have to kind of wait and see what they decide to do.
Just about the 2-minute mark for the breakaway, and you see the pace has suddenly picked up. I always think when we're looking at a solid peloton, it doesn't really suggest how quickly they are going. Usually when they take a feed bag or something like that, or grab a bidon late on, you really do see it getting banged out of the hand of those standing roadside to assist them. This is proper pace right now, and it's going to get inexorably quicker. They're all in colour order, save of course for the yellow jersey embedded within Team Sky. It is on the back of Peter Kenyuk. Chris Froome wants that on the very last day into Val Freyus. Oy, there we go, and it's getting worse. Oh, my goodness. Right, rider's still down. We said it was a danger. You get a change of pace. Everyone's suddenly trying to battle for road position. And guess what? Touch of wheels, down we go. Racing. There we are. And indeed, it was quite a pile-up. In fact, not a nice sight at all. So, they'll all wait on, but this is not good. Is it Jack?
Yeah, Jack Bauer over now. Trek Factory Racing rider was down first, and unfortunately for Popovic, he was the rider that touched the wheel. And you can just look at the disarray at the back of the peloton now. Everybody looking behind to see who was involved, and these riders will have to make it back to the peloton, while the three riders in front still have a 2-minute advantage with about 20 kilometres to go.
I think, well, the boys in the breakaway have can do what they want, but this is Perito just getting back in, as you can see, and this is a danger, a huge one right now, and that looks like Tommy Vogler as well.
I've said this, Carlton, in too many races, right? If your leader, they've got radios in this race, the World Tour race, it's easier to allow your team rider to get back using the vehicles, and that's exactly what he's done. When he just gives a little wave to the referee there. It's a crash. Everybody's allowed to get help. But did you notice he came back, two of his teammates waiting, and his teammates will have to make their own way back up. So sometimes it's a little bit easier, bit of communication, and allow your leader to come up.
Here we go. There is the touch, and there is the result. Massive split. Katusha largely caught behind this, so whatever they invest now in the chase back in, basically to think about Rodriguez more than Setovic and Vicioso for the sprint, is going to be a deficit for later on. It looks like they are reasonably waiting up. The gap to the breakaway may well extend because they've got every right to push on as a breakaway. But these guys are going to reassemble, as you can see. But look at the pace. It's still reasonably high, although not full chat. There's no attack going on.
No, they wouldn't take advantage of a situation like that. Everybody will know that there's been a crash. And I'm pretty sure most of the riders towards the front of the peloton will have a rider trying to, which was affected, maybe not crashed, but maybe had to put their foot down. So everybody will know not to push on, but they have to. We're just looking at the zone here. This is what we're talking about earlier. This is a zone where you throw off your wrappers, and there's vans there and things like that that will come and collect any bottles and wrappers that are thrown at the side of the road.
To be honest, I think it's eyeballs out for those, especially trying to get back in here. They're more concerned about just salvaging the day. They're going to make it back on. The cars have done a decent job. As you can see, it's just getting to one side and keeping themselves tidy as well. But there's a number of little groups here that have been divorced, and it's going to be time's running out, it's going to be quite an effort for Team Katusha because there's no hiding place now. They've got to try and wrestle this, and you can see moderate panic, I think, for Joaquim Rodriguez, who came to this race, I think, hoping for glory, quite frankly. He's got more chance here than he has later on in the season, and he's on decent form as well, but to what has he left behind, essentially, by this chase on? These are elite athletes, we remind you, but 18.6 kilometres to go. It's solid at 150, so the break hasn't found anything to put in to their charge for the line. But normally at this pace, the pace would be a lot higher at this point in the race, I should say, with 18.4 to go. Look at this. This is a battle.
Yeah, there's riding behind the car, so they're getting help to come back on. So nice to see the team cars allowing that to happen. But that's the chance you take. 20 kilometres to go. If you're sitting at the back of the peloton, Joaquim Rodriguez was not involved with he was behind it, and he had to put his foot down. So did Simon Gerrans and a bunch of the Orica Green Edge riders. This is what happens at a relaxed day. You sit at the back of the peloton, bang, crash, and then you're having to chase gaps, and that's the chance you take in a race like this. If you sit at the back, you risk this, and that's why Team Sky are towards the front, Movistar are towards the front, because they want to keep their team leader out of these situations.
Well, I'd have thought that BMC are also up there. Cadel Evans, who often dips in terms of strategy and does turn up at races as well. He was there cheering them on during the Giro d'Italia. He's their sort of ultimate ambassador, I think, for BMC racing. He very much is minded to get his team to the fore. In fact, they were almost on police duty, I think, for keeping Cadel up there. And of course, they got an option today in Danny Oss, who was trying a late push yesterday. Didn't quite work out for him. But it's about protecting TJ Van Garderen and Rowan Dennis and Sammy Sanchez, quite frankly. There we are. There's been a regrouping as this long tail just gets back on to the body of the peloton with 17.3 to go. It's now looking like the breakaway have at least got a chance. I imagine the pace is going to pick up big time in a few moments by the chaser. A look very briefly at the crash once more, and just look how many teams got caught out. Giant Alpecin likewise found themselves in a real problem situation. Quebecer likewise also there. Orica Greenedge were first to arrive on the scene, I think it's fair to say, so Simon Gerrans is going to have to put in a bit of extra effort as well. And indeed, the big sufferers there, I don't know, you've got to fight to get back in. These guys fighting for survival, it doesn't look like they've got, to be honest, that much left in the legs. They fought to be in the breakaway, then they battled over the mountains. Tekla Hamanot has extended his lead in the polka dot jersey competition, courtesy of his efforts today. And we remind you, it's the first time that MTN Quebecer have held a jersey in a World Tour event. And congratulations, Brian, and especially with that man having it.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. It's fantastic for African cycling, and Daniel Tekla Hamanot deserves it all. He's been in the breakaway the last 2 days, but the thing is, more urgency now. I wouldn't say the panic is over, but everybody seems to be back in the peloton. The gap holding at 1:38. More riders now riding at the front of the peloton. I don't think the three riders in the breakaway of Kemeneur, Cortez and Tekla Hamanot would think they would be in this situation with 15 kilometres to go, having about a minute and a half. They still do have an opportunity, but look at the arrowhead formation. More riders from in the red jerseys of Cofidis, more riders from Lamprey in the pink. They want to push it on. It's going to be an exciting finish here for these three riders. Very
exciting finish, and they are kicking on right now. I think it's hard to pick who's most motivated, quite frankly. Kemeneur, it's a great stage of King of the Mountains, 4th in Tour de Yorkshire, 25th overall, so kind of there or thereabouts on a regular basis, but he's got a chance now. 1:37, solid with 15.4 to go. Normally we say 1 minute for every 10k is what you need. Well, right now, minute and a half, 15, it's about on the button, but how much effort have they put into the day? I suggest quite a lot, especially Tekla Hamanot. I wouldn't have thought he's got the legs to spin it up late on. But Courtois for Francis Tigieux and Kemeneur, both Frenchmen, of course, and with a chance, and both from French teams. Who knows? They might just lay it on the line. But just look at the chase down. They don't want this to happen. Modolo lost out yesterday, we remind you, and Lamprey now are doing the pushing because they don't want to miss out again. Yesterday they got mugged by Kenyik on behalf of Team Sky, and today it may well just be. Look at the pace. They mean this, Brian. They're going for it.
It's up, it's up, it's up. You just see the wind blowing, a bit of a crosswind from the right, but you see the Français de Dieu car coming on. They lost one rider today, and that was Laurent Pigeon because of a crash. But there's belief now. The gap, 1:30 inside the last 15 kilometres. They are really going for it. And when the team car came up from Français de Dieu, I can know what they said. They just really 100% keep it going, and there's an opportunity here.
Yeah, there'll be door banging again at Francis Tigieux. You can be almost guaranteed. 14.6 kilometres, minute and 29. Well, this is fantastic. Two of the riders, don't forget, Tekla Hamanot 12 seconds down, and Kemeneur as well. If they get to the line, don't forget there's 10, 6 and 4 seconds bonuses, and if there's a gap back, we could be looking at our leader. You're not thinking about leaders' jerseys now, are you, Brian, at MTN Quebecer?
Oh, who knows, because Team Sky are not too worried. They're not involved. OK, they took the yellow jersey. They're thinking further in the week. They're thinking the team time trial tomorrow. They're not worried if they lose that yellow jersey. You can just see them sitting behind the sprinters teams. You can see Modulo in the green jersey. Two from Cofidis at the front. And then you've got four riders from Lamprey and the green jersey of Modulo. So 5 in total for Lamprey at the front.
14 kilometres to go, 15 it says for these guys, minute and 22, so just over a kilometre further up the road is our breakaway, and those like Bokomolema just going to basically sit in, ride in, I guess you might say. Great for the GC contenders that now it's down to the sprinters teams to bring them all home, quite frankly. How much effort are the sprinters teams going to put in? Quite a bit. What will be the deficit by the time they get there? Quite a lot. A minute and 18, they've found 20 seconds in very short order with 13.7 kilometres to go. I suggest they might catch them with about 3 remaining. That's when they turn onto the big straight. But they're going to have to work for it, Brian, and that's what they're doing right now.
Yeah, they certainly are. Cofidis and Lamprey towards the front of the peloton, and I think all the riders will be a little bit more happier now, a little bit more speed and more concentration. When that crash happened, everybody was kind of bunched up. Steve Cummings at the back here for MTN Quebec, one of the riders that was involved with the crash earlier on, just had minor scrapes. But back to the front of the peloton, it's still the team of Modulo and Bahani towards the front.
So Bora Aragon in the black there, you can see. Working for today, it's Bjorn Thoreau, I'll be bound. They want to protect Dominic Nertz as well as their hope for the overall. But coming through some of these Napoleonic avenues, set to give shade to marching armies. Well, right now we have a breakaway group who are going for this in their own little battle. Kemener Kotoy and Tekla Hamanot. And that almost looks like a vulture, doesn't it? Swooping around, just waiting. Well, he's missed out on the crash earlier. Thankfully, everyone back on their bikes. But we have had riders, unfortunately, step off earlier on in this race. Lost a couple already. Kemener Kotoy and Tekla Hamanot, though. Are they thinking about it? Looks like the pace has eased off. I think it's because of the wind, Brian, which is just starting to blow up. We are pre-storm here, and we're expecting rain later in this race. And I think they're possibly doomed at the moment. They've put in too much today, I suggest.
Yeah, they believe for 5-10 kilometres there, that crash happened. Nobody really pushed on, and they found themselves with 15 kilometres to go, having a minute and a half. But as we can see, the gap coming down all the time now. We do think, I do think they will be caught, because just look at the teams towards. Now Lotto Belisol involved with the chase, so too many teams, 3 now, possibly 4, because Agent 2R are now coming up. It means that there'll be more firepower at the front of the peloton, which will bring these 3 riders back.
Van Summeren getting engaged. It's for Samuel Dumoulin, the pocket rocket. He's a man who's highly mobile. I guess the spaces he can get into in a sprint situation probably other riders couldn't fit, because he is rather small. But nonetheless, he's extremely quick as well on his day, and in mixed company, especially if the pure sprinters teams have maybe put in a bit too much, it could affect the lead-out train. We're going to find out the answer in 12 kilometres time. A minute, they've still got it, but I think they're doomed. I think they'll be caught in the last 3.
Yeah, because of the crash, and the panic was a little bit in the front of the peloton. Seems to be eased off now, because the time gap will come back. They'll know that it's within a minute, and a bit more calm towards the fronts, but it's still the team of Lampre. And the thing is, Carlton, how much will this take out their lead-outs towards the end? So many teams are just sitting back, thinking the team trial tomorrow, not wanting to waste too much energy. There's still a lot of teams in there that haven't been towards the front, that have got a sprinter, will have numbers towards the end.
We'll see whether Gero and Orica Greenedge have got back in. Kirkelair and Magnus Cort Nielsen options, but I think it's not rough enough for them. Mind you, it has been, I guess you might say, in terms of the retrieval that's been required. 12.3 kilometres to go, 52 seconds. The breakaway's got a chance if they start arguing as to who's been doing enough work up the front. Wilco Kelderman's boys, Lotto Jumbo, not really sure what their sprint options are today. I think this is about protecting Wilco, but the yellow and black have come up. There is Katusha. They've found themselves again, 50 seconds, and we have a new chalk person by the looks of things. I don't know whether we're going to have our lady from Normandy back for the Tour de France. We shall see. They do change these things occasionally. Change of pace, certainly, back here. 45 seconds now with 10 to go. They've worked well, quite frankly, and they're up for this.
Yeah, there's a little bit of panic just after the crash, but now everybody's back on. The peloton are complete. It's all about bringing these 3 riders back, and the 3 teams that want to try and do this is the team at the front in the red, and that's Bahani's team Cofidis. In the pink and the blue, that's Lampre Merida for the green jersey of Modulo. And also one rider in there, Pim Lichtaert, for Lotto Soudal. They've got a couple of options. They have got Benut, who was up there, the young rider for Lotto Soudal, and also they have Bokman. So not too sure how they will play this out, but definitely Benut was looking strong yesterday. But I think that Bokmans would be their sprinter for today in this type of finish.
Let's see a number of options for Lotto Soudal. Of course, they are quick men. They usually work for Andre Greipel, but today they'll be working for themselves within the team, naturally. 39 seconds with 10 to go. They're going to get caught a lot earlier. So, the Dom is where we're heading. Villars-les-Dômes, and indeed the Parc des Oiseaux in this part, the bird park. And there you can see they're being told to slow down by the marker. Speed register. 9.7 to go. They won't be slowing down. Well, not just yet. I imagine once they get In fact, they're going to be within sight of the pack on this straight road section now as we head almost inexorably to the finish line. 10Ks to go, so only 500 metres separating them right now. And speed check for you again, side of road. Quite remarkable, isn't it, as the scanner starts to pick up different riders. It was jumping from 15 to 45, couldn't quite make its mind up. Some of them likewise decide that cross country's the way to go. That was Dan Martin just getting himself into a better position. Nathan Haas and Navadauskas are the Team Cannondale Garmin boys in the green and black that you should watch out for late on. 29 seconds, they're going to get caught before you know it, and then it's sprint order, trains sorting out on rails perhaps. Colour order now being established, and some of the big names are up here as well. You see Vincenzo Nibali doesn't want to get into a problem situation on some of the twists and turns. It's relatively good roads though on the approach, but just look at the wind. It's turned into a tailwind for them, so at least that's a blessing. 25 seconds for the breakaway with 8.8 to go, but well within sight now, and job well done, I think, both for Cofidis and Lampre, who did most of the chasing on. If another team provides the winner today, I suggest there may well be some words at the dinner table.
Yeah, you have to earn the right to sprint in the end, but a lot of teams sitting back, and you know, you're right, tailwind now for the three riders in front. Daniel Tekla-Hamanot in the red King.
Big options today. He's probably not quicker than Bouhanni, but he has a great lead-out train, and they're extraordinarily well motivated. They clearly believe they've got the strength to deliver him as well, and they're doing most of the chasing right now. I am cycling of Jonas van Genechten, so the men with the red and white sash across a dark blue jersey are there, and the Belgian is installed and ready to be released. 7.7 kilometres to go. It is colour order, and it's about how you deliver. What can Orica Green Edge, for our viewers down under, deliver today?
Well, we'll have to wait and see. There was about 4 or 5 of them involved with that crash, not touching the ground, but they had to put the foot down, one of them being Gerrans, and we'll have to wait and see. They're not being involved with this sprint. It's difficult options for them. I wouldn't say that this type of sprint would suit that team with Gerrans and Kukulea. I think Kukulea might be their sprinter today.
What about Luke Rowe for Team Sky? Is it all about Chris Froome, or might he get a chance today?
I think it's all about Froome today, but I possibly hope that Luke may be given an opportunity. He's right up there with the team, sitting second wheel, but it's going to be interesting. 7 kilometres to go, this gap hanging on 28 seconds, so they're hanging out there quite well.
Big retrieval by Katusha, who were one of the major teams that were caught out. Joaquim Rodriguez had to be brought back in, and as a result they've only got 2 carriages in their train. Thiago Mercado is leading out Alexei Shetovic. At the moment, it's only the pair of them. Everyone else just looking after Joaquim Rodriguez, and the road looks like it's kicking up ever so slightly here. 6.5 kilometres to go, largely flat after the climbs that they've had today. We remind you that before we came on air, they dispatched the big Category 1 climb today. The polka dot jersey will be staying on the back of Tekla-Hamanot. They hold 27 seconds with 6.3 to go. If the teams start just leaning on each other in terms of work rate right now, they've still got a chance out there, and in fact the gap has just expanded ever so slightly. Here we are, Lampre still burning themselves, but at what cost?
That's the thing, Carlton, when the gap comes down very quickly and then they kick off the speed at the front of the peloton, and now the gap is holding just between 25 and 30 seconds tailwind. It's always difficult to bring this gap down very quickly, easier to bring a gap down when it's a headwind. We're getting closer to that 5 kilometre to go mark. Everybody looking around. I'm not going to make the final push because I'm not going to burn out my team before we come into sprint, because it's going to be needed in this sprint finish.
Yeah, absolutely. 23 seconds with 5.7 kilometres to go. So in 600 metres time it is now, as they make another turn. More turns you get, the more chance the breakaway has. They can take a cleaner line through any of this, and the teams are struggling to stay together because they're thinking about the lead-out trains and of course making sure that the GC contenders stay up where they need to be, not behind any gap. Still pushing on, as you can see. It's about Cofidis in the red here. That's Vanessa Bouhanni and Julian Simon perhaps. Bouhanni Buani, their first choice. In the pink and blue, it is Lampre Marina working for Sasha Modolo. Also joining the fun is Lotto Soudal. Maybe Benoot in the white jersey, more likely Chris Bourquemont today, who did so well in the World Sports Classic, the Belgian. But you know what? They've got to catch these guys first. 18 seconds it is right now. I think the protection offered up by the trees is not helping the men that are in the breakaway. They prefer to have a clean tailwind. It's slightly cross the tailwind, and so as a result there's a bit of protection offered up by the trees, which means they don't have the tail assistance. Here we are.
Looks what's happening. You know, some of the riders getting blown out now. Very difficult finish. The speed is really up, and you know, Lampre have used a lot of the riders up already, and Modolo was there, you know, trying to organise the chase. These three riders still sitting 15 seconds in front. Still believe they'll be caught, but at what cost? How many matches is Lampre actually, you know, lit already? Is the team going to be able to deliver them? He might have to surf for other wheels and other teams.
4.5 kilometres to go. 13 seconds is the gap, and Lampre not happy, and Modolo in the green jersey, he's nursing it, of course, on behalf of Peter Kenyuk, who leads that competition as well, leading overall after taking the win yesterday. But the green jersey is being nursed on the back of Sasha Modolo, so amongst those pink and blue you will find him. Interesting that Nibali has called to get to the front. There he is. You can see the Italian champions' stripes across the light blue of Astana. Lars Bohm, though, is their sprinter today, and you might just see a satellite rider deciding to squirrel off and go for this, and it looks like we may well have just a modest change of pace at the front, and Lotto starting to engage. Likewise, Team Sky solidly safe in dead centre of proceedings.
But Tony Martin on the right hand side, he's just purely looking after Alaphilippe. In the middle you've got in the red Lotto Soudal, and then you've got a couple of GC teams, Sky and Astana on the left hand side, but the sprinter teams have kicked back. Where have they gone? What's happening? I know it's been brought back with just over 3 kilometres ago, but I tell you what, nobody really wants to take this, and a lot of teams are thinking of the team time trial tomorrow, don't want to get involved, but a lot of the GC teams just looking after the GC contender. We're still getting close to the 3 kilometre to go mark, and yet not one sprinter team, very few of them in this rain, are taking control of the front of the peloton.
Gruzdev getting animated, just flapping his arm left and right, all together essentially. And Francis Digier just picking up, but just look behind. We have Cofidis in an absolute line. Nasser Bouhanni there, Julian Simon as well. Bouhanni is ready, and to be honest, they haven't exactly burnt themselves out on the front. They didn't get caught out by the crash either. They've got to be favourites. Big red line of Cofidis riders teeing up Bouhanni with 3 kilometres to go. They've made the big turn, and so this is more or less straight line to the line. Chris Froome occasionally finds himself in elevated company amongst us on a sprint day, because he can turn a gear, can our Chris. You don't often think about that because he is a GC man, of course, first and foremost, but he's reasonably quick in a situation like this, and I think safety first means he'll be in a decent place. There's Modolo in the green jersey, part of the Lampre crew in their pink and blue, but just look at that line of Cofidis red. They believe that they've got today, and with the Aero helmet you will see Bouhanni as well. It looks like a solid black helmet, almost like a paratrooper. Well, he's got to kick a few doors in when it comes to a sprint situation, that's for sure, and others are now starting to approach, and here come MTN Quebec, and it looks like it's going to be Tyler Farrar for them with Ed Valbosenhagen. 2.1 kilometres to go right now, and the black and white stripes of MTN. Is it going to be Tyler for them today?
Well, looks like it's Tyler at the front, Jacques Ranciv and Rensburg, and then you've got Edvard Bosenhagen, so it does look as if they're going for Bosenhagen today.
Eddie Boss then is their choice, and also Gero is up here. We have a line of riders likewise for Orica Green Edge. Great retrieval for them, and it is Gero that looks like the protected rider.
Yeah, I'm not too sure from this side, but fifth yesterday, it does look as if he's right up there towards the front. Really difficult all over the road. Nobody got control. Cofidis now come through the middle, but it's Orica Green Edge. Many teams involved here, and it's going to be a really messy sprint. 1,500 metres, you can see it rises as well. It may well be reasonably straight. No, we've got disaster further back.
My goodness, exactly what you don't need in a situation such as this, and that is a real shame for the likes of Chris Bockemans, who finds himself on the deck. Kelderman as well. Bockemans would have had an option today for Lotto Soudal. Anything can happen. You've got to stay safe, and that's why the GC boys are up there, and he's really livid, as you can see, bouncing his bike all over the place. But the action is happening up towards the fore. Chad Hager's also involved. Meanwhile, back to Sprint Central, and here we go. They've still got options, and that's Van der Sande, Tosh Van der Sande, as we've gone under the Flamme Rouge, and MTN Quebec are leading everybody in for the time being. Also here is Navadauskas and Nathan Haas for Cannondale Garmin. They're fighting for position. Good work by Orica Greenedge to maybe salvage the situation. It looks like it's not going to be Luka Mezgec for Giant Alpecin at the moment. We'll see whether he manages to jump on somebody else's train. There goes Modolo on the left-hand side of the road in the green jersey. Oh, they're still fighting for it. Edvald Bosenhagen is there. He's being led in beautifully for the time being by Jens van Rensburg, but there's others coming in. Oh, it's still not over. This not over by any means. It's Confidence who are forcing the situation. It's for Bouhanni, but where is he? Suddenly he appears with his black helmet. Bouhanni's not there though, just for now. Edvald Bosenhagen is going for this. Oh, it's the green jersey of Modolo versus Bouhanni. Bouhanni finds the centre of the road. Best place to be. He's got riders either side of him going for this, and Samuel Dumoulin, door slam shot on him, but it's to no avail. It has to be Bouhanni, and it was. Wow, Nasser Bouhanni wrestled it. You could see what that meant to him. Almost cathartic at the line. He needed that victory, and he got it.
Well, it was led out by Eddie Bosenhagen, and you just see the speed of Bouhanni just comes round. Modolo can't match, and Katusha coming up in the right-hand side as well to try and get involved with the action, but fast coming up, Sam Dumoulin. Looks as if he snatched his second place there, Modolo in third, but yeah, that's the man. He got it wrong yesterday, came up too late, but he gets his win, and he'll be really happy with that one.
You know, he looks lean, he looks mean, and he took that absolutely clinically clean. They did it. They're chuffed a bit. And a smile as well from Tommy Vogler. That's nice to see. Acknowledging the fact that it's a French victory, and that always goes down well on the Dauphiné.
Well, a slight uphill finish here, but clean pair of wheels to everybody there. Sam Dumoulin on the right-hand side coming up very fast. Just about numbers in the end, and Lamprey didn't have the numbers for Modolo, but a clear win for Bouhanni there with just over a bike. It was Bosenhagen for MTN Quebec that led things out. Satovic was the other rider up there for Katusha. Kukalair was there for Orica Greenedge, but this man from the kickboxer from Cofidis boxes everybody out the way and takes the stage win.
Just look at those knuckles. You wouldn't want to meet them on the dark night. Bouhanni takes it then, delivers. I told you about the small spaces in Samuel Dumoulin. He was squeezed towards the barriers, but still made it through.
Well, he doesn't need a big gap, does he?
He doesn't, exactly. Dumoulin finishes in second place ahead of Modolo. Lamprey might feel a little bit aggrieved by that. They did a lot of the chase down, but Cofidis played it fair and square, and Bouhanni delivered the knockout blow in the end. Well, great finish. It's team time trial tomorrow, but just check this out right now. Bouhanni with the black helmet, this is where he lights it up. Eddie Boss has gone for it. He gets on his wheel, still stays calm. Modolo's there. Now, when he moves over, this is a clever piece of riding. He takes the drift, knowing that he started on the right, and the only open road is towards his left. And so fair and square, he just gets over. Dumoulin just nicks it, second place on the line, ahead of Modolo. Some disappointed riders out there. And in fact, you can see that there's your general classification. This is how we stand overall, with Koenig still leading this. Finished well then. Modolo in second place ahead of Bouhanni, and Dumoulin. Eddie Boss is in the top 5 as we head, of course, to the team time trial tomorrow.
Ouais, je suis super content, surtout pour l'équipe plus que pour moi encore.
Well, it's all about my team. As they couldn't have done more for me, he says. It's for the team more than myself, and of course it was extremely difficult out there. I'm happy for everybody. truly happy. I can assure the management that they have every right to trust in me. Last couple of weeks, you've been very close to victory. Last couple of weeks, you've been going well, but did you have any doubts out here? Well, I knew I was in good shape, to be honest, he says. Tour de Bever was my first race, properly competitive race for a long time, and so I had a very long and heavy preparation ahead of the Tour de France because that remains my main goal, he says. And today, well, I knew I could really trust my teammates, and I just had to give everything for them. 100 metres before the finish line, went to the max, and so I'm very happy for them.